never happened before. Oh, man.
Immaculate vibes in the lounge tonight.
Honking like a goose.
Honking like a goose already.
Overwhelming vibe.
Overwhelming.
Dude.
What is up, everybody? Welcome in.
Tonight's gonna get
I gotta
wild.
turn my, there we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome into the pregame lounge, DNVR Nuggets Pregame Lounge. Okay, all right. I guess I'll pick up the energy, you guys.
We can't give an air horn to just the show we do. I mean, like, the air horn is for...
Johnny, you know who I feel like right now? I feel like Jokic. Just dragging these guys around.
We are
just
30 seconds in. You haven't let anyone else shoot yet.
Dude, I got to tell you,
You're James Harden.
If Jokic came out and just started screaming in everyone's ears, like, I don't know that he would get the response that you're looking for either.
You know, but we're at the part of the season already because it just took one great game where, like, this morning you woke up and I'm like, can't wait for tonight's game, you know?
Oh,
Am I the only one?
First time I felt this way all season.
So true.
I don't know. Personally, I'm feeling the back-to-back. Just gonna say it. Just gonna admit it.
A little tired.
It's rough.
I could use a little load management myself.
Well, we got
My shoulders hurt a little. Yeah.
we got a great show for you tonight. I'm with Brendan Vogt.
Dressed for business tonight.
You are dressed for business.
I don't know why
Saturday.
I don't like that decision.
Casual business.
In hindsight, yeah.
Casual business.
I'll go get changed.
For Vogt, this is business, though. It would be
Yeah.
business for me, too. I got D-Line Co. over here.
What's up, guys? I'm no business for me. Just the business of winning. Let's do this.
Only pleasure. Then the man with the wind in his hair. The
Vote
handsome
looks
one.
like Vote from State Farm.
Oh.
Now I
He
just
does look
gotta
like
say it. I
Vote
just
from
gotta
State Farm
say
for
it.
sure.
There's your $5.
You wore
Caleb.
the khakis. You
2
wore the
minutes in,
khakis.
yeah.
Dev is load managing tonight. He's going to be off for the pregame show, postgame show, so you can go ahead and turn it off now if all of our...
If you were looking for good takes,
you're looking for good
they're not showing
Just
up
go
tonight.
at him on Twitter. Just harass him on Twitter.
But if you guys are new to the pregame show, we got a series of topics you see right there on the right-hand side. We're going to talk about, obviously, previewing who's in and who's out tonight. We've got a Jokic and Bird. I can't wait for this. It's going to be the
Well, see, this is confusing for people knowing that you put this together. We're not talking about the animal.
We're not talking
This is
about
not Bird Corner. Contrary to
Oh
popular
man, I
belief.
can't believe we don't have that graphic loaded. And then we're gonna do a little online with D-Line, and then of course we're gonna preview tonight's game by opening
news
up.
to you?
He's ready.
I was actually in on this one.
Okay.
And of course, as always, we're going to open up the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and we're going to use the lines to sort of preview it. So if you don't have it, you want to download DraftKings Sportsbook app now. They are the presenting sponsor of this show. All right, so first news, we put this up obviously before the news came out like 20 minutes ago that Jamal Murray's in. It says Jamal Murray out, question mark. We have an answer. No.
Yeah, no. All right, next. Let's go ahead.
No, but so
He's available.
he's available, yeah, we'll see. But it sounds like he's going to play. First off, Harrison, are you surprised by that? And is this a good decision for the Nuggets to play him on this back-to-back?
I'm not surprised because it's Jamal Murray.
That's
You
true.
know, if this
Yeah.
was 95% of NBA players, they might be out, but it's Jamal, so he's going to try to play. I don't think he should, though. I think he should rest. Devin Booker's out. I think if the Nuggets rested Jamal Murray, they'd still be favorites in this game. I think they could still win. And I saw Chris Dempsey put out a video on Twitter, pregame Jamal Murray shooting around. He's like massaging his shoulder. He's clearly
Yeah.
not right. So, I mean,
First it was an elbow,
He's
now
like,
it's a
yeah.
shoulder.
He's
Like,
take a freaking look at this NBA.
that's a great reference.
I think he should rest, but
Whatever
I'm not
freaking
one to
takes.
tell Jamal what to do. So
Oh, yeah, I saw somebody in the comments here says Adam 1, Matt Moore 0. That's right. He actually did an early preemptive victory lap when it was rumored he was
doesn't sound like
questionable, and then it turns out he's not. So there,
Oh,
take
Matt,
that, Matt. Honestly, though, Vogt, what do you make of his decision to play? He's clearly banged up.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it would be different if Monte Morris wasn't playing at such a high level and you didn't go out and sign Facundo Campazzo in the offseason. I
So
think
true.
they have the personnel to do this, to get away with this. At the same time, you know, if Malone were to come out, as I'm sure he would, or Murray were to come out and explain their rationale and say, we need this win, we are so close to turning this corner, I understand feeling like, no, let's win this game. Let's make sure we get it behind us. But at what cost? And with Jamal Murray, I think we're reaching that point.
I love Vogt's point. It's a great point. They have so many point
They
guards
have
on this
nothing but-
roster.
they have nothing
This
but
is
point guards.
why they signed Facu Campazzo, because they knew injuries were going to come up. They knew COVID-related stuff was going to come up. They knew they just wanted good players. This is when they could use that.
You know, Campazzo's at the hotel last night, and he's like, so you're going to take the night off. It's a
I
good
know.
decision.
Yeah.
Really proud of you.
He's just chugging
don't worry.
espressos.
Yeah, he's like, bro, I gotta tell you, like, just coming in, I can tell your
Yeah,
your
you look
shoulder's
tight.
hurting.
Yeah.
No one would blame you.
No one would blame me. And he's like, no, I'm going to play. And Fox is like, damn it. So we'll see how many minutes he plays and how all of that unfurls. Devin Booker, though, is out. And it's interesting because you guys know how he got hurt last night, underreported, by horse collaring Will Barton.
Trying to strangle Will Barton.
It was a horse collar, man. Like,
Yeah.
he honestly was a dated. Will Barton, man, you rarely see him as frustrated as he was on that play. Like, he ran across the court to yell at a referee and be like, did nobody see this? Like, he just horse-collared me.
Right.
Anyway, he's out. How does that affect the game, in your opinion, Harrison?
Well, it makes the Suns way less dynamic, and you've got to think this is going to be the Chris Paul show even more than it was last night, which is saying something, because Chris Paul had 14 first-half assists last night. This is going to be like Chris Paul versus the Nuggets, I have to think. And DeAndre Ayton, too. DeAndre Ayton.
This is going to be a DeAndre Ayton game for sure.
It's going to be a lot of pick and roll with Chris Paul and a lot of straight post-ups. Probably try to get Jokic into foul trouble,
Here's the thing about this game. I was talking with Matt about this yesterday on Locked On Nuggets, but he's like, Ayton was incredible, and he was. But how many plays was Ayton incredible where it was like, create a shot? Here's the ball in the post available. Zero.
He was good on alley-oops.
Alley-oops, rolls the rim, and offensive rebounds. And so that's why tonight will be interesting, because I do think they're going to rely on him more as a point of the offense. Like, hey, create something out of this and read the court, and I'm curious to see how that one goes. But to your point about Booker, the drop-off from Chris Paul and Devin Booker to Javon Carter, who I love, and and Cameron Payne, who I don't love, is quite steep. And so I do think that is a meaningful drop-off in their backcourt.
To have their top player, the guy that scored 60 points, 70 points in an NBA game, last night was the first night that he's had a game against the Denver Nuggets. He's one of those players that I've always known that is good, but I've never actually just watched a Suns game.
Yeah, doesn't necessarily tear
Denver
Denver
right.
up,
So
to
see him actually do it,
but to see him
do it
make sure we're
against the
clear.
Nuggets for the first time, I was like, all right, I get it. Like he, all those mid-range jumpers from the free throw line that were just automatic last night. I mean, this is a major advantage for the Denver Nuggets that he's out.
I wonder, can you keep the ball in Chris Paul's hands? And that's to mean make him shoot.
Yeah, he was not offensive. He was like facilitator
until the fourth quarter.
He wasn't taking shots
until the fourth quarter. But
17 assists in the first 3 quarters, and in the fourth quarter, none.
So look, he's not
in the first half.
in the fourth quarter. Can he give you 6 to 8 points? Can he give you daggers any day of the week? At this point in his career, he's not a 4-quarter shoulder the scoring load guy, at least in my opinion. So of course, you lose Devin Booker. Maybe that changes the way Chris Paul approaches the game to Denver's benefit.
Well, let's move on because we have something later on. I don't even know what the line is.
Just to recap, Murray out? Nope.
All right, next question.
Guys, my favorite topic, Nikola Jokic. And there was today.
Our friendship was.
Well, it's that as well. Our friendship is really just our mutual appreciation for Jokic.
It's all Jokic.
So yesterday, Kendrick Perkins, watching the Nuggets play, tweets out some appreciation for Jokic in the form of my favorite comp. The Jokic Bird comp. And it is the latest in a long line, short line, of players comparing Jokic to Bird. Roll that beautiful footage here, Producer Kale.
Roll that beautiful beam footage.
Your thoughts on Porter and Jokic and the great games that they had.
Yeah, Porter's, he's a fine young talent. And, Jokic, he's like a reincarnation of Larry Bird. He does everything. He's amazing. They were great.
Peyton on his case.
Jokic, Robinson. That time he went for the fake, and Jokic made him pay, and the lead back up to 19.
Yep, you got to stay on your feet with this guy. Shrewd, clever, slick. Second coming of Larry Bird, Mike.
Clever, slick.
I do have to say one thing. Kendrick Perkins, an astute member of the NBA media. He's never said anything wrong.
When he speaks, he says something.
Always been 100% the truth.
Well, I do love
that
he's like, maybe that Gregg Popovich was onto something.
Well, this is what I love. This is what I said 2 years ago. Like when Gregg Popovich was like, I don't know what you want me to say. He even compared him to Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
And then he said, it's a little early, but he's the one that made the comp. And I thought it was funny because I was like, all these people there are like, it's overhyped. People overhype him. I'm like,
you're like, who?
Gregg Popovich?
Gregg Popovich is
known. First of all, doesn't know what he's talking about and is quick to hype guys.
Actually, never hypes guys ever.
That's my favorite part about that Kendrick tweet. He goes, I guess Popovich.
I guess,
right. Yeah, probably.
I love the idea too. Why Gregg Popovich? We're just so sick of Popovich going out of his way to compliment Denver Nuggets. Dude, we get it. You love the Denver
What's
Nuggets.
actually hilarious about that one is he was asked about Michael Porter and Jokic, but it was a heavily Michael Porter one. He's like, he's very talented. And Jokic, he quickly got out of the Porter
He probably
comp.
hates Porter.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Not a Popovich player.
I do just love how Popovich has always had an affinity for Jokic. Even going back to Jokic's like sophomore year when he was really coming up, he knew Jokic was legit. Actually, one
Serbian
of
ties,
Serbian, and one of Jokic's coming out games was against the Spurs and Tim Duncan.
So I want to go now to the stats here. Can you pull up the stats first, Kale? Do you have those queued up?
Let's put this to bed with a bullet here.
Let's see how crazy it is to compare age 25 Jokic to age 25 Larry Bird here.
I bet it's way off.
Oh wait, hold on a second. Points per game. That's advantage Jokic. Rebounds per game. Well, that's advantage Jokic. Assists per game. Wow, dominantly advantage Jokic.
Shooting? I mean,
shooting because Larry Bird was a shooter. Actually 50. Wow. Okay, advantage Jokic. 3-point shooting, advantage Jokic. Steals, though. Larry Bird, though, guys, the defense. Hold up. Steals. Oh, tied?
Well, hold on. Larry Bird was shooting 21%.
Well, so this is, I do have to put
I swear to God, I see more highlights of Larry Bird steals than like anything else that he's ever done.
Oh, passing, too. I mean, look, Larry Bird, this is by no means Larry Bird slander. This is
Let's be clear.
This is elevating Jokic to like, hey, look at how incredible he is here. But the thing is, when you look at the 3-point shooting, it wasn't until his 5th or 6th season that he took more than one a game. And this is not a Larry Bird thing. This is an NBA thing. So back here, he's 21% because he's like 15 of 70 or something. You know, like it was such low attempts that those were mostly. I would even guess they were mostly heaves, to be honest with you.
I guess if somebody named Larry Legend is hitting the 3-point shot at 21%, it makes sense why it wasn't a big part of the game.
Right, exactly, yeah.
He almost certainly could be, like, if that was a part of his game,
they really tuned up the human machine.
He would be a 35-plus guy.
You know, one of the things we hear, so when this comp was first brought up, I think with Gregg Popovich last year, this was in the bubble when he made this comment. The one thing people said was like, well, he wasn't the killer scorer like Jokic. And first of all, I want to say something. Larry Bird did have a bit of that Mamba mentality FU that I don't think Jokic necessarily has to the same degree, although much more than what people realize. But isn't it weird that Bird, scorer, Jokic, not a scorer, he's averaging 3 more points per game? And here's what's really crazy. If you look at Larry Bird's career, it wasn't until basically 2 years after this season, so when he was 27, that his points per game took a huge jump from 23 in this season to 28, basically 2 seasons after this. And one of the things I keep wondering about Jokic, he's averaging 25. I don't feel like that's crazy. Like, I feel like that's because he can score 25 in his sleep right now.
And he has yet to, maybe he never does, draw shooting fouls. I mean, you just think about the other dominant bigs in the game, AD, Embiid. What is it, at least 9 free throws a game? I haven't checked the numbers. I'm sure it's higher.
Jokic had 1 last night.
I mean, look, Jokic is just unlocking his 3-point shot, and if you add 8 to 9 points a game at the line, which is not actually a huge if he ever gets those superstar calls, this is a 30-point per game score.
What's crazy is Larry Bird, fewer free throw attempts than Jokic in their age 25 season, which is kind of a shocker. You wouldn't have guessed it.
Well, I do think one of the storylines with Jokic this season is he's looked to score more. I just think he's looked to be more aggressive on the block.
Absolutely.
Whenever he's gotten single coverage, he's gone much quicker, I feel like, this year than he has in years past. And that's definitely been a point of emphasis from Michael Malone for sure.
And yet the efficiency is up, though. And that's the thing about it. And it's not even just the 3-point shooting, which is only slightly up from his career average. And it's actually tanked over the last, 3 or 4 games. But, you know, his effective field goal percentage, his 2-point shooting is just through the roof. And I think part of this is, to your point, they seem to be playing through him more. He's being more aggressive as a one-on-one scorer. He's just finding himself, he's playing with the confidence of a guy that has been in the league now for 5 years and is like, these guys can't guard me.
Right.
There's 2 or 3 guys that give me a hard time, and I still score on them. So DeAndre Ayton, come on.
Yeah. And he wants to get doubled, and I think what he's learning now is you don't have to wait. You could force that issue. If they're single covering you and you go and you take a shot the first 5 possessions, they're sweating it. They're at least thinking about it.
So people might be looking at those per game stats. Pull it up again here, Kale, for me real quick. These per game stats, because you might be looking at it and thinking, well, maybe per 100 possessions or per this. No, I'm sorry. Actually, Larry Bird played 38 minutes per game this season. He played 5 more minutes per game than Jokic is playing right now to accumulate those stats. And by the way, played more possessions. So actually, when you adjust per 100 possessions or per 36, it actually goes way down. And here's some other numbers for you. And again, numbers don't tell the whole story. I'm not by no means trying to say Jokic is better than Larry Bird or anything like this.
Say it. He's better than Larry Bird. Look at that.
Box plus minus. Larry Bird this season, 6.6. Jokic this season, 11.4. Win shares per 48 minutes, 0.205 for Larry Bird, 0.3 for Jokic. You want to go over to some of these other ones. PER, Larry Bird 22.6, Jokic 31.7. True shooting percentage. You want to talk about efficiency of scoring? This is the thing. This is on fewer field goal attempts. Like
right.
Jokic is taking fewer, scoring 3 more points. True shooting percentage 55.7 for Larry Bird, 65 for Jokic, or 64.9. These numbers are actually significantly tilted for Jokic, and it is early. I suspect that some of Jokic, these numbers will probably sink a little bit.
Can we say like the one thing though, like that you can't argue is look how much better Jokic is filling out that tank top.
Well, look, I mean, does it feel like, the argument there to your point, like, okay, this is a very short sample size peak for Jokic maybe? So let's open it up to their careers. Only 3 players in their first 5 seasons in NBA history ever have reached 6,000 points, 3,000 rebounds, 2,000 assists. It's Jokic, Oscar Robertson, and Larry Bird.
Right.
Except the Big O did it in 17,000 plus minutes, Larry Bird in 15,000 plus minutes, too. Big Honey, and I'm reading this from Jordan Scott, by the way, who tweeted this out. He's a member. 11,000 minutes in his first 5 seasons. So this is not a peak versus larger sample size thing at all.
Oh my God, dude! How lucky are we?
We are so lucky, man. I'm telling you, you have the greatest
basketball.
take of all Jokic takes, which is that like the city of Denver just doesn't quite. I think they're learning. They don't realize that they have this guy that they're going to tell their kids about, and the people that missed it, start paying attention now, because it really is one of those things. Like Elway, I shared that with my dad my whole life, because I basically grew. He was drafted when I was born, and my whole life I got to be like spoiled by having. Then once he was gone, you realize like, oh man, nobody lives up to Elway.
The city of Denver, like we're living in our house, and people are like, "Hey man, did you check the garage?" They're like, "No, why?" They're like, "There's a Ferrari in the garage." They're like, "Oh, there is." Like, do you want to go drive it? They're like, "I don't know. I'm watching the Broncos."
Yeah.
Like,
And then it also like just
what the hell's your problem? Go to the garage, Denver.
And it also lends itself to like how many people have just been low on the Nuggets. Well, they don't have a stars, Denver. They'll never have this, and it's like, well, they did make it to Game 7 of the second round last year. Well, yeah, but that's not that good. It's like, well, then they did make it to the Western Conference
Yeah,
Finals.
they didn't get the finals, though, did they?
It's like, guys, this is what happens when you have a superstar on your team. Like one of the 10 best players is your team's floor is just so elevated.
This is what we've been talking about this whole season, is that like what we've seen up to this point that was like the really unimpressive, but like they were in games, out of games. Like that's the worst that the Nuggets will be. That's
what happens if the Nuggets have a shooting guard that shoots 14%
yes. Like,
and a small forward that can't finish.
Could not have been worse leading up to this point in the season. Like the 7-7 is as bad as they can be.
They also went into Utah with 7 players and won last year. And it's one of those things where it's like, this is just what happens.
This is what an all-time great player does.
This is what an all-time great player does, and he has so many of these moments. And then
the Ferrari is black.
The last thing about two last things about the Larry Bird comp. If you go to his first MVP season, which was 2 years later, the numbers still favor Jokic. 24.2 points per game for Larry Bird his first NBA season. This is 1984. He was 27 years old. 24.2. Jokic again at 25.2. Rebounds 10.1 to 11.3 for Jokic. Assists 6.6 to 9.9. And then again, the field goal percentage is almost identical to what we showed you earlier. So steals per game, exact same. Actually identical for Larry Bird. And so
what's our conclusion here?
My conclusion is just this is the only thing I want to say, because I think comparison is the death of joy. Like when you're trying to be like, who is better now? One of these guys is clearly worse. I think that's the death of joy.
It's the most useless debate.
But here's the thing. Pull up our other chart we have here. Let's take a look at this. Do you guys remember 6 years ago, Jahlil Okafor or Jokic? And it's like, well, guys, Okafor was a number 2 pick for a reason.
That's why.
Yeah, he was. There's a reason. He had a bad year.
Fat ass.
He had a bad year. Let's give him a second year, and then he'll be better than Jokic. Okay, that was wrong. His numbers will fall once he plays more minutes, because remember, he's only playing like 15 minutes per game. And it's like, well, once he plays.
Oh, he's an advanced stats darling.
Yeah, just wait till teams scout him and he starts playing more. Okay, that was wrong. Porzingis, higher upside. Well, Jokic does literally everything but shoot better than him, but Porzingis has a higher upside.
Was that just talking about he's taller?
It is tall. Yeah, that is literally higher upside. Okay, he'll get exposed in the playoffs. Wait till teams actually key in on him. Well, that's the opposite is true. He gets better in the playoffs. And then he's already reached his ceiling. This was another take. And my good buddy, this is by no means calling out my buddy Seth Partnow, who's a smart guy, but when they did the player rankings this summer, he came in like 8th or 9th, and the line he wrote in there was, this might be the best he can be, and that's fine. This is a great player. And us as Jokic stands, we're over here like, what player peaks at 24? Like
Jahlil Okafor.
Look, to the folks upset in the comments, let's be clear. We're not sitting here telling you that Jokic is definitively better. But when this comparison is brought up, well, go ahead, land the plane.
Oh, no, so my landing the plane was, so now we are here, like the arrow pointing to like, we are now at this point. our job, part of our job here in Denver, we always complain, nobody talks about these things, right? We were all called crazy every single step of the mark here. Now, can Larry Bird be better than Jokic? This is where numbers don't lie, or where numbers lie, is that there is something to, like if you look at statistical peaks, LeBron was his best in 2009, Jordan was his best in 88, but anybody that watched the game knows that those guys got better over time, even though there's numbers drop.
Sure, right.
And Larry Bird got better over time and then became a greater winner over time. And I think that with Jokic, there's still some of these things that are not about numbers that he has to get. And that's why he is not as good as Larry Bird was throughout his career. But it is our job, because nobody else is going, like, we have to move the goalposts and push him to tell people, like, yes, I'm glad everybody is on board with Jokic being this good player, this transcendent player, and MVP candidate. But guess what? You're still underselling him because he actually has the potential to be one of the 50 best players of all time, maybe one of the 25 best players of all time. And who the hell knows? He's 25 and averaging a triple-double. Who knows how high this guy can climb? And it's our job to sort of start the conversation of why not?
Why not?
We're going to start a dialogue.
We are going to start a dialogue later tonight. So that's all I wanted to bring it up, guys. People in the comments, but you can be upset. Again, comparison to Death of Joy.
We don't care.
Yeah, I really don't care.
He's better than Larry Bird. What are you going to do?
I think that the last checklist on there that you were talking about, Jokic can't get any better. My biggest read on the step he's taken this year, and this is actually kind of lining up with what made Bird so great, was just like his command of the game.
Oh, yeah.
How he sees everything before it happens.
Yes.
Just how he can dictate everything on the floor. Like, he has taken a step in that regard this year, a huge step, I think.
No question about it.
The game looks even slower for
him.
it
looks so slow.
He's like Neo seeing ones and zeros out there, man. It's just easy.
All right, we got to go online with D-Line here for real quick online with D-Line. We have to.
So
real quick here.
So, guys, I've been spending a little time online. I don't know if you guys have. I've seen a few things, though, that I'd like to bring to the attention. First and foremost, this came up today. Look at this.
Oh, my God, this is beautiful.
This is I'm
not going to lie, I saw this on Reddit yesterday, but it is cool that we saw it today.
First off, online with D-Line is not cutting edge. It's just saying, like, we're not saying this is what's happening right now online. These are things that are happening online at various points. So, anyway, we've got this geologist that finds a rare formation inside of a rock that looks exactly like
Nikola
Jokic of the Denver Nuggets.
That is crazy. It's so uncanny.
Jesus in a tortilla, Jokic in a rock.
Right.
So
this is a sign. I mean, this is a sign. This could be special.
Consider this, though. Like, they had to cut it in just the right way. How did they know?
To my knowledge, there has never been a rock that looks like Larry Bird.
That's
not
right.
one.
Not a single one.
Throw that on the graph.
Except for, like, late career Larry Bird. Kind of a rock that looked like Larry Bird. Anyway, all right. What else is going on these days?
It's just like Cookie Monster.
Who did this come from? Do we know
this
who
is his girlfriend.
Came from?
His girlfriend. Or wife. Excuse me. His wife.
Excuse you.
Excuse me.
This we're showing you this.
He's so freaking
uncool. This image of Nikola Jokic dancing to accordion music on television, only to point out that Nikola Jokic is the single most lovable human being on the planet. I wish he was my friend. He never calls me back.
He's not your friend.
He's not my friend. None of you are my friend. Do I have friends? Is the real question. Look at this though. It just goes on for a while. It just makes you more. It endears him to you more and more.
He's so aggressively uncool, man. Like, it's just like he so aggressively does not give a single F about your, like, social points, you know? You don't think of the conversation like with RJ Hampton. You think RJ ever walks up to him, he's like, dude, you could have 1 million Instagram followers. And he's like, why the hell would I want that?
He's like, what do I have to do? He's like, set up an account or something? I don't want to do that.
Jokic is like furious that we just played a video of him dancing because he's like, I don't want anyone to know what I do outside of my life.
Well, too bad, Jokic. We're obsessed with you, and it's not going to get any less until you become a worse player.
Fired up. We got to speed through. Let's open up the DraftKings Sportsbook. Again, the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app. The presenting sponsor of this show, this pregame show here. And, guys, right off the top rope, Denver, 2.5-point favorites tonight.
That feels pretty tasty.
You feel like you like Denver?
I like Denver a lot. We don't have Devin Booker in our way. That feels very tasty.
So I was looking at the last game. Denver wins by in overtime, and the line was 1. You just look at that and you go, "These guys are so freaking good." So I like. It's a great sign that Denver is on top here. But you look at the things that could go wrong for Denver. Well, Gary Harris, is he going to score as many points? Probably not.
In general,
is Will Barton going to come up as clutch as he did? I don't know. Who knows? But then you go to the other side. Devin Booker completely out of the game. You go to Mikal Bridges on fire. I don't know. I think that both of those things are good. And then Michael Porter, I think they're counting on him to sort of step up.
How is there not a Michael Porter points.
I don't
line
know,
tonight.
man.
DraftKings is doing us wrong here.
You're slipping, DraftKings. Come on. Give us
I
some
don't think we should be radar
MPJ
sponsor.
stuff.
If we go over to points, Jokic,
That's what this show's about.
23.5. So here's what's funny. I feel like when we look at these Jokic point lines, we keep thinking historic Jokic, which was like some nights he scores 16.
Yeah, hammer that.
23.5 might be the new 18. That might be the new where it's like that's a slightly below average game for him. Are we expecting a slightly below average game for Jokic?
He's going
tonight?
over. He's definitely going over tonight. I mean, I wouldn't touch the Jamal Murray line tonight, just like I wouldn't touch it last night. And that means it's going to be another big Yoke night. I mean, I think we know that, right?
It's Yoke points all day.
You're taking Yoke points, huh?
Just now, yep.
We got DeAndre Ayton 17.5. He kind of had a game last one.
He did. I get DeAndre Ayton points.
Yeah,
I
can
think I
see
might
that
take
over
that too.
too.
Yeah, I would take that over also.
Win, what do you think about going under on Bridges tonight? The odds are up.
You think they got him all? He got him all out of his system?
And his line went up from 12.5 to 14.5, and the odds are up on
so
fading
low.
him. So,
Ooh.
I mean, he was lava hot.
What's his 3-pointers at? That's my real question.
Oh, that's a good question.
4?
Let's
Four,
go
yeah,
over.
Whoa.
Let's go over to 3-pointers here. Yeah.
I'll go under on
Wait,
that.
I don't
Nikola
see
Jokic-
I don't see 3-pointers for Bridges. Am I missing it?
Yeah, I don't see it either.
Yeah, it must. Oh, it must have been off the line. It must have been off. What's interesting is Paul Millsap tonight 0.5. This used to be a lock. It's a back-to-back though, and he's old. I don't know if
He
he's going to play.
that
He
much
is
last
old.
night,
Take
though.
that into consideration.
Does he
kinda
get
like
one?
that.
Johnny, does he get 1 3
He
tonight?
gets one. Come
Paul
on.
Millsap.
Oh yeah.
You think he gets
Yo,
one?
The only problem with that is that the odds are not good.
Also, Nikola Jokic over under 1.5 threes as well.
The odds
what
are
I-
terrible.
The odds
though.
are terrible on that one, minus 240.
Should we do Gary over 1.5? It's such a heat check bet, and it goes against every principle I have.
I like it.
He was good inside the line though yesterday.
Right.
Inside the
Yeah,
3-point
true.
line.
Yeah.
He hit a 3.
All right,
Right,
let's
I'm
get to
doing
the
it.
triple-double odds here. We
doing
got to kind of go quick here. Jokic triple-double, yes, 220 plus 225, meaning you bet $10, you win
Yeah,
22.
I'm not
bucks.
touching. I'm not touching that again.
Tonight, I'll be honest, Murray hobbled.
The assist could be.
I feel like
Tough.
this might be. He had 9 last game or 8 last game, and it felt like
I feel, but
it took overtime.
what we learned from Murray feeling hobbled is that means his points go down, but his assists go up.
Apparently,
A bunch
his
of
rebounds
assists.
too.
He had a bunch of assists and rebounds last night.
I'm
That
betting the
is a good
triple-double.
point. You're betting the triple-double. I
Brandon
think,
doesn't
I
care.
think it's a fun.
He doesn't care. Why should
Yeah.
you care?
I kind
I
of
was
like
like
it.
anointed as an honorary Serbian last night, so I
That
think
is
I
true.
I
How
know,
does
like
that feel?
really,
Like, I
you know
have
what?
to
You know what
double
we
down.
learned last night? Like the only thing you need to become an official Serbian citizen is to drink 2 shots of rakia, one right after the next. That's it.
know how smooth you drink them is very
how smooth you drink it, and you have to look excited about it.
Oh,
You can't make a rocket.
You have to
face
look. You don't have to
either.
be
Yeah,
excited
just
about it.
take
You just have to look
stone
excited.
Yo,
cold.
I've got a rakia face for the ages. That rakia more enjoyable to talk about than to drink. I'll say that.
All right.
not a
Well,
real Serbian.
we're all feeling good about the Nuggets tonight. It should be an interesting game. My biggest hope is that Michael Porter gets a lot of run with Jokic. Obviously, my biggest hope is they win. My second biggest hope is
I'm
that we
telling
get
you,
minutes.
this is going to be an MPJ game. This is actually,
Really?
yes. This we can't bet on it, but this is going to be an MPJ
That's
game.
what I was gonna say too when I was looking for the prop. Yeah.
This is going to MPJ is going to score 20 points. Minimum.
20 points. And if not, you will.
And if not, then I'm going to drink some rakia.
Michael Porter Jr. had a quote last night where he was asked, how long is it going to take you to feel like you felt at the beginning of the season? And he said, tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
Thanks so much for riding with us. Don't forget, we're going to be
Let's
back here in the
freaking
lounge.
go.
Hopefully a winner's lounge, but we'll be back here afterwards. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you then. Jokic is Larry Bird.
Let's go. He's better than Larry Bird.